style better than the Reyna because you have to be the front runner, you have to be the one entering in, being confident or alongside your Jet, and just kind of having that laid back style is going to be better for Nanners. And the desk pointed out he only died 7 times last map, and like Burger Boys were pretty relaxed in a good way. Like they need to be challenged more, and I think Ambrosia we're starting to level to that point. And Akrian being on the harbor, I'd like this on this map, but will they be able to execute it as good as teams like TSM? We'll see how much time they had on it.
That we will. Initially, though, Burger Boys, again, just playing with that same level of aggression. Sean has gotten a read on Bonnie. And, again, look at the tempo change. You're going to get the early recon dart, and you win that 1v1. That's huge. So you've broken down the middle of the map. You've got your ability to pull the toxic screen across yellow and get a free plant here with the Cove. And, yeah, this works out nicely for an opening for Ambrosia. 5v4 post plant.
Now Satellite has to hold this yellow box position, gets the heads up on Alvin, who's trying to focus down once that Cove dropped, that there was now multiple angles to try and watch on that post plant. Good positions now from Burger Boys to just flush out all these rats of Ambrosia. It's all up to Nanners, though, as that press from Burger Boys looked like it was making space, but wasn't killing a whole lot.
Yeah, it's tough, I think, especially knowing that as you're trying to crunch back onto the site of your Burger Boys, you have to be worried about where Shonducks is going to try to reassert their dominance from after winning that 1v1 over towards A. So just kind of forces there to be quick action. And then once you eventually get onto site, there is a level of, okay, now we have to, to put it plainly, you got to win your fights. But it's just not knowing at all when that lurk is going to come through and where it's going to come through at. Kind of forces Burger Boys to have to kind of go through the checkpoints one by one by just flooding, and it's just not going to be able to break down that post plant. So good start, early cascade followed by recon dart, just kind of showing that Ambrosia is happy to exchange utility early over the top of that A orb. But the big difference maker is Nanners in this tight corner. Glyph looks like they want to throw the shoulder to check it, and they will be rewarded for that discipline.
Two big openers from Ambrosia, as you would expect, the vibes that they have. And again, I'm just liking this retro KO a lot, like the choice of the agent, because you just get so much good information off of it. But all this space and all this pressure would be nice to send Bonnie on a prowl, but it won't be this round, as Ambrosia are met with a tougher challenge. It's taking a lot of time for Ambrosia to make that headway from those two openers. And now Burger Boys are set up on the other side of this harbor wall. Bracto holds down the angle. Retro does the same on the other side. And Burger Boys are turning around to 5 versus 3.
That just felt like a moment of Ambrosia feeling a little bit too confident in their numbers. The high tide is a really good position to stop Alvin from getting into the site, but the only place that those defenders can be on site are watching that crossfire on the backside of the box, and you just don't really hit that with the right timing with your teammates that are all there together. I mean, you can see the death icons, they're all right around the same angle. They just didn't really peak that together, not quite your 3-2-1 swing, and that allows Practo to pop off and steal away the anti-eco and flip this entire first half, or first quarter of this half, kind of on its head a touch here.
I'd like to see Satellite get really active and just have these dash-ins. As soon as you see that KO knife from the other side, you're not getting suppressed. Okay, where is that KO? Don't let Burger Boys get the orb, and just see your level of energy, because I don't want to see Satellite play a Jet like a Yoru, just kind of very slow and tempered. I want to see him really try to press Bonnie and be as aggressive as they are on the other side. Meanwhile, we go over to B, and that Viper wall is clearing a zone for Ambrosia, but an unexpected drop means Alvin gets a big two-piece.
Yeah, the timing of that toxic string going down is not ideal, to put it plainly. It just didn't really... did they know what the timing of that looked like? Because often you would just see that either be a, okay, wall's going down in 3-2-1, or I'm about to run out of toxin in 3-2-1. It didn't really feel like either was the case. And all of a sudden, Glyph's wall goes down, and Ambrosia's out in the middle of no man's land, having to worry about high ground, having to worry about top ropes, having to worry about snowman. And then the whole time, it's just they didn't really have Akrian's utility and spot to give like a secondary layer. That just felt like a huge miscue. Now, granted, again, that was kind of a weird round where you don't have the same purchase you would have expected in a third, but still, that felt a little bit mismanaged right there for Ambrosia. The Burger Boys were able to punish pretty cleanly, and now you've got Bonnie playing with some early recon utility to get the first blood with the op.
Ooh, I think it's time to dip. It is not a time to try and challenge an op, especially in the hands of Bonnie when you have no vision. So I like this retreat from Ambrosia, and even to press through kitchen side and to be exposed. Ambrosia are going to split up their forces, and it is still Nanners anchoring back here. And even Alvin had a big round once the offensive Viper wall came down.
Yeah.
So Ambrosia are going to have a tough time down too.
Nanners, yep, still holding the angle. Hits the headshot onto Acreant. Snake bite just to be sure there's no follow-up onto that spike. Defense still going to hold strong on their current positions, though, and force Ambrosia to make a very laborious journey through B, actually. They're going to clear out the tight corner at Snowman, but Nanners has repositioned. Welly, that's big. Okay, you get a little bit of a post-plant opportunity to kind of stay a little bit deeper up behind B. Gives you a chance at this 2v4.
Big risk from Welly, but you had nothing to protect the spike plant, so you did what you can to make as much space as possible. Now hiding away from the owl drone. Horn ears for Welly as he can get the cutoff. Gets initial shots, knows there's someone approaching. Welly has to just deal with this one by one, but there is so much of Burger Boys rotating in that Ambrosia had a good effort there.
Yeah. And it's one of those moments that you kind of, again, look at the decision-making for Welly. He makes the call that that's the only way you could possibly win that round. Stepping up, take care of the solo defender in the back of the site. Don't allow Burger Boys to just run back in for a retake. It gives you an extra level on where your post-plant set up. It's going to be a byproduct of killing off time, but kind of getting back into how this round has started. You know, one of the things we saw a lot of with Burger Boys was their ability to kind of have these little trap plays on ascent. A little bit more formidable behind the operator of Bonnie, who has had a very great first two maps. Practo right there with them. So, you know, again, you look at the combination of your initiator, your controller, and your duelist. All three have been very successful so far for Burger Boys.
Although this isn't a great buy for Ambrosia, this could give us an inkling to how Satellite can generate some momentum and how he's able to be mobile and how Ambrosia would want to challenge the high ground. I'm not seeing too much activity there. Actually, Acrean and Satellite just got up, so it's going to be all these angles. If synchronized, Ambrosia can create a real threat even with this deficit of a buy.
Retro's attention's been split. He's going to get caught with Fragment out. An opener for Ambrosia. Practo going to take the exact same position, just kind of pick up the baton where it's been dropped off at. Alvin watching for the dash across. Nothing there. And Glyph is going to make the comm saying, well, guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but I haven't seen anything. And nearly catches timing on the Nanners, but still the spike can run quickly back over to B.
Now Glyph won't make that same mistake again because he needs to have his fuel ready to go so that the planter can be safe. And Burger Boys will have quite the obstacle course to try and get through. Poison Dart down too, and Satellite just goes above and beyond, standing on top of the yellow box. That is huge for him. This could just solidify the round right here and now for Ambrosia with barely any time left, unless Alvin can intercept this.
Almost had the angle. But that is a flawless Thrifty at that. So talk about immediate regain after losing the anti-eco in round 2. Everything kind of gets stabilized off of a Thrifty round here in the 5th. And now we start to tally up current ultimates that are at the ready and some that are nearby. Reckoning with the Hunter's Fury. Dangerous combination. You got to remember back when Harbor was popular kind of at its inception of being brought back into the mix, or brought into the mix the first time as an agent. Things like Reckoning with Lockdown and Viper's Pit are essentially just hit button win round. Like, it's just so hard to deal with. So tools available for Ambrosia as they try to get this thing not just to level, but possibly find advantages here in this first half.
There's a lot more B hits than I expected out of Ambrosia, considering they have that Harbor comp. So I think that just KO knife initially and just Bonnie's threat level has been Ambrosia trying to dodge that as best as possible, especially you don't know when he's going to buy it up. So Ambrosia not expecting it now.
Wow.
And then Glyph makes sure that no flank is being produced from Nanners' side.
This should be primed and ready for Ambrosia to win this round. You kill Noise here, try to create doubt to Burger Boys on the defense, which, to be fair, they're going to just kind of keep their eggs in the same basket, not rotate over. They're going to say, Alvin, you got this. We'll play retake at B if we have to. There's your usual high tide. Reckoning is going to come through. Hunter's Fury with that. But Bonnie still finds the first blood in the secondary engagement. Glyph follows up with 2 on the response, though. And now Bonnie is just kind of running and trying to vibe on the backside of the site. Not going to happen as Satellite guns him down. And Alvin, rotating in late, would have to pull off a 1v4. Made it a little bit more simple with that first blood, but this next part is, yeah, the most difficult part. The cascade coming in your face. But pause. Ambrosia able to get to 3-3.
We are strong because
Big investment from Ambrosia. I mean, it's taken a lot of win the round buttons to get them confident enough to start picking up the pace. So going forward, can they set up Glyph for a post plant with the pit? Do they have Satellite start to rummage through the high grounds of A? And how can they get access that backline of the defense? And you're kind of seeing Satellite really pick things up too and start to shine just as bright as Bonnie on the other side as the rounds go by. So, and even for Ambrosia, be on flank watch too. They're starting to cover all their bases.
Nice for Bonnie, looking to get aggressive. Pushed back just by seeing the sentry turret, and that will have the defense looking to play a little bit more traditionally.
Toxins going up.
Interested to see what Ambrosia wants to do off this little split, and well, that works. Nanner's just fiddling around with his utility and gets punished. So Ambrosia should feel pretty comfortable with their weapon advantage. Just hold this 5v4.
Not too much of a fake, as Burger Boy's still stacking a B, but because it's been so quiet, now it's a shift towards the middle of the map. So could be an important cutoff for Retro. His null command is going to be pretty important regardless of what happens. Ambrosia, they play so slow. They just clear very slowly, and it works out if they have ults. And can they do it in the neutral? Being able to build up momentum would be big. And Ambrosia are pretty rich too. Now they've sealed in the site with that harbor wall. They have Satellite dashing in, and Alvin's gonna be front and center. Great headshot on Welly. Where's the punish? And it's Glyph up there.
A near moment again, Jen, though, where I'm looking at this like, why are we just slow walking up when we've got weapon advantage in numbers? Practo makes this more interesting, down to a 2v2. Knives could still be a huge factor for Bonnie, but now it's down to just Bonnie.
One enemy remaining.
Clean to the 1v1. Shondex, where have they gone? Over the top, Bonnie. Oh, what a shot! Able to connect out of the headshot, and Burger Boys respond with some drama of their own.
And Bonnie is having such a good split, has been a shining duelist star for this team. Along with the addition of Practo, this is not the same team that you saw in stage 1, the one that almost got relegated. They have leveled up to a point where they're qualifying into playoffs. And Bonnie is that hard carry that a team like Burger Boys really needs when rounds like this get pretty dire. And if Ambrosia are going to keep eating up precious seconds, like, it's going to force them to make kind of silly decisions or more panicky ones, leaving a chance for Bonnie, someone who's really shown that they can lock in, to succeed.
It's just, yes. As a reaction to that, just simply put, yes. It's just, these are unexcusable things, though, for Ambrosia. And it's not just that it's happened once. That's now 2-3 times that we've seen this, where we're just slow peeking a solo defender with weakened arsenal in the back of the site. Like, you have to know you're likely dealing with sheriffs or maybe a shotgun. Like, we should be trying to wide peek that or just double peeking it, and it's just, not ideal. So Ambrosia, another timeout for them, just trying to get their heads on straight. And it's one of those things, like, you just cannot make mistakes like that versus Burger Boys. It feels like this half should be 5-2, maybe even 6-1 right now in favor of Ambrosia, but they just keep throwing away these opportunities, and now you're playing regain again.
For sure. And I'm saying Ambrosia should pick up the pace, because so you could put Burger Boys in a position to make bad decisions. You put pressure, you make them uncomfortable. The more time you give Burger Boys, the more information and more time, the more they have time to communicate setups, plan A, plan B, plan C. And Ambrosia slow walking is also, if Burger Boys hold positions, it's easy for them to frag. So we'll kind of see Ambrosia develop. A Satellite gets active there with the knives. First blood on Retro is huge. Ambrosia gotta, well, pick up the mantle and go
Yeah.
forward.
Well, Bonnie's going to try to hold the line here, forces the lockdown into a really precarious position, but yeah, too much assistance. So Bonnie will get out of there. Really can't afford to be detained, and will get out by way of going on the high ground. Satellite going quickly from the ropes. Bonnie trying to fight back. There's the cloud burst. Satellite trying to find the timing and the angle, and there it is. It does come through. Hunter's Fury's out. Defensive lockdown trying to be combined with this. Still though, 5v3, and Broja has to back off for now inside this Viper's pit. But they will get the plant. It just comes down to who gets away from this. As here comes the retake attempt, largely just from the front.
And one's detained, so you just have huge numbers advantage for Ambrosia and the chaos of that Viper's
Big
pit.
pick.
Burger Boys are trying to find angles around it, and watching on the outside is Sean Dex. So Ambrosia have a good round going into this, and a great setup for Glyph at the end of the day. So they're tying things up, and these are the rounds that you would assume Ambrosia are supposed to secure. Now it's all the other rounds that need to be cleaner too.
I will say though, like, that is an important round for Ambrosia coming off the timeout to make sure that they're, again, just hitting all their marks. You know that you've got obviously the lockdown Viper Spit combination, but you're gonna have to deal with a lockdown of your own. And they do a really nice job of making sure the defense, A, is challenged early to where they have to make a decision of when do we want to hit this lockdown? Can we even afford to? And then behind that, even though they do pull it off, it's just too low of numbers. So you have the ability of putting Shondex on that long lurk through mid. So good decision making, good macro calling coming out for Ambrosia. And you've got Burger Boys back on to another light buy.
Ambrosia are really good at winning rounds with ults. This time, not having that luxury. But they do have the luxury of just a way better buy. And cowering away now from A. You're going to shift over because Lilith was saying, okay, B is looking pretty free. They've assessed and well read that B is the weaker side, so a lot rides on Nanners and how he reacts to this.
And I think this is the only play. I mean, the only way you get through this is if you can kill a little bit of time and have your defense rotate over. But the interesting thing about where Burger Boys currently are with this deep owl drone is they may try to just like snowball and trio right down this backside at A and try to get a weapon collected. Whoa, where did he go? Just breaking ankles. Bonnie able to find himself a rifle. 4v4, but the problem is, yeah, you're going to get challenged up top at kitchen. And now it's just the one rifle here to play with, and the post plant is all over the left side of the minimap.
And because of that information from Welly, he just had his teammate dropped here. The rest of the team should be near spawn. He clears through spawn. There's only one place he can be. It's mid-cut when Satellite clears deep into sight. So good positions from Ambrosia to completely surround Burger Boys and to just have a clean round win, not drop any rifles. Although Ambrosia are pretty rich, so no sweat if things don't work out. But hey, this is just looking more decisive for Ambrosia.
And I think that's the big part about it is you're not just winning rounds, you're doing so by way of the game plan. That's 2 in a row that you're able to feel like, all right, our calling is going well. You're able to gain a little bit more confidence. Interesting. Burger Boys are going to show us an operator setup here for Bonnie. I was interested to say that because you've got like the ability with Viper's Pit to just hit a site, pop it early, have that sit there the whole round. Then you've got the null command on the other. But instead, they're going to try to throw a bit of a monkey wrench into this. At least they were for a second thinking about the operator. But now they'll go back to what likely should be, which is a Viper's Pit to lock down one side and a null command if you need to retake the other.
Ambrosia just, in these early rounds, always try to see what they can get, which sounds really simple. They just lay back. They're not immediately dashing in, throwing all kinds of crazy util. They're just putting up their harbor walls, either sealing in the side or just taking things inch by inch. But Burger Boys are in this stalemate where they're also waiting to see what Ambrosia are going to do first, as they should as a defense, at least the style that they like to play. Acreon's been pinged early, and Bonnie's not going to risk falling into an entire team of Ambrosia that weren't revealed.
This might wait for a reckoning first, and then maybe, you find something out of Glyph, but that catch at 2 now puts all the pressure on the Satellite to provide with reckoning clearing the space to move on forward, but Bonnie in the back of the site. How does he continue to walk away with multiple? That 2 is important. Opportunity again, fragment, flash, and null command this if you want to. Shondex not able to get the initial plant off, has to reset it. Gets it down the second time to the 2v2. Snake bite doesn't really fully land in the default position. There's the flash, does not hit on the satellite, looking for their third, but no, Retro, a little bit of a wider peak than expected, finds the headshot. Just down the shot.
Enemy remaining.
Good for the first, clean. Doesn't expect the second, and Retro clutches up for Burger Boys to bring it to a tied 5-5 game.
Ooh, and important for Burger Boys with kind of where their money is at, forcing Ambrosia to rebuy and just start putting a dent into this economy. But I know Satellite and Ambrosia did lose that round, but I am starting to have more confidence that they are performing at, starting to get to the level that they are supposed to be at. But Burger Boys are still clutching up a bit better when it comes to the end of these rounds. A great job by Retro and the rest. And Ambrosia are also being quicker with how they're executing these rounds, not waiting until the last 15 seconds to try and plant into A and not making as silly of mistakes. So this has been good. This is a pretty back and forth affair.
Yeah, it's been a very big back and forth affair. And again, there's going to be a level of, we were reflecting this half and talk about the first quarter of this half of Ambrosia could have been up 6-1. It's based on a couple of mistakes that have been made, but they've done well to keep this thing tight. But here in round 11, Viper's Pit for Nanners. Bonnie playing aggressively. Does this guy ever miss the headshot? I feel like every single time it's a headshot, every time we watch quick peeks. Yep, still has it. Trades are pinstripe though. Good fragment coming through for Retro. Suffocates the play. Over at the middle of the map, leaving Glyph a bit isolated as the long lurk from Nanners is starting to take away space. They know that Glyph is stuck. And now it's just down to Satellite for the 1v3.
Yeah, just that initial work from Bonnie to have Ambrosia get tripped up when the spike is down and Burger Boys to support each other to really unite. It is coming down to the last few members, but it still will be a Burger Boys win unless Satellite goes crazy. Even just if you were to get into Nanners' way with the judge, it's you don't have to aim too hard with that thing. So
No.
30 seconds
it's
left.
cool to see Bonnie, though, get proactive in these early rounds to start conditioning Ambrosia to maybe even play slower than they already are. And maybe this is Bonnie trying to take advantage of that slower pace by popping out and being able to dash out and get away.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times we've seen that. You know, the op shot kind of earlier on in the half, just using the recon that comes out of Fracto to make that play happen. So there's been moments where you see, again, just like a little curveball gets thrown and Ambrosia's caught a little off balance by it. But Satellite's put himself in a good spot here to potentially find a 1v3. Knife will reveal that there's going to be at least one member trying to contest from at least the side door. Toxic screen will go up. Recon bolt will fade. Retro will take a couple of spam shots. One will hit, and wow. Could they hit more of these little spam shots through smoke? BAC anyone? Hard to say. Nanner's able to find the easy kill, and Burger Boys will get their 6.
Failed. Now flee.
It really sucks to lose a 1v3 when you didn't even get to see the opponents,
Last
the other
round
3
in the
guys
half.
on the other side. But still a good job from Burger Boys, like we said, off the get-go to start to condition Ambrosia to be on their toes at all times. And I love to just see how Bonnie's been able to be consistent through the past 2 maps as that prominent jet player on both. And Satellite's starting to get to that level too, but there's something desynchronized within Ambrosia that makes it so that one person can't really make a risky decision once to get arrested without the rest of the team at least being down to clown, you know?
Yeah. Silly decisions down to clown. It's
Yeah.
just it's a 3-ring circus here in Icebox. Owl drones. A little bit of aerial RCing going on. Doesn't see anything really from either side though, besides that both Sovas are in the same side of the map. Blind Hunter's Fury gonna come through. Bold from Welly, and honestly, the defense are like, cool. Like, we just don't really care about that. We've got knives out. We still have Practo there at the Hunter's Fury of his own. And this is going to be on what information can Nanners secure before eventually probably being pulled off this top box position.
Now 2 ults invested, and Ambrosia feel like their biggest trouble right now is getting into the site and feeling secure. Like that Blind Hunter's Fury, because, well, you're guaranteed to have somebody on A. A lot of Burger Boys have been stacked at A and just flying above. Nanner's under fire, and Satellite is 2 HP. That's anyone's game. Now a better Hunter's Fury for the retake of Burger Boys, but so far back, and look how deep Satellite is. He's 2 HP, might as well do something with it. Easy punish for Bonnie. Now the rest of Burger Boys will advance to try and evacuate Ambrosia.
I think the only nano, or pardon me, the only thing that Ult Command hits is on the glyph. Well, he's got another recon bolt ready. So Bonnie's gonna have to be the one to try to break this down. Back play over towards yellow. Bonnie's good for that. Anything else is over towards green. Shots from Alvin are good. Well, he's still alive, but in a really difficult spot, trying to watch over the top of the spike. The reveal is in. The lineup is good. One more! Oh, Welly for the 1v3 clutch. A little benefit off the lineup, but no one can hit their shot onto Welly, who is in the worst possible position, and it's a 6-6 half.
Well, usually it's Ambrosia that throw away kind of winnable rounds like that. Wasn't expecting Burger Boys to not be able to close out a 3v1 with the talent that they had left at the end of the round, and how good kind of the start was with the Hunter's Fury from the Sova. So this is kind of surprising. Welly really impressed me how stoic he's able to be in a high pressure scenario like that. We get a replay of this Jet going above and beyond. That was really fun.
That was unbelievable. I mean, I really hope that everyone can hear that, and not just us, because that is the only reaction you can have right there. But here we go. Second half pistol right away, right on into it. Opening shots from Bonnie, decent. Able to find some damage early to secure some good presence onto A. But look at the double walk down mid here from Ambrosia. As soon as they get a read, this is going to A. You have the ability to try to crunch on this. The only thing is the issue is there's a sentry turret behind this.
Yeah, and Ambrosia have their harbor wall set up to make things more difficult for Ambrosia or Burger Boys to traverse, especially if you're trying to pressure screens on the left side, but that's been gone because Retro decides to take a high ground position instead, and Ambrosia just have all their angles covered, backs against the wall, harbor walls back up, and Burger Boys look for presence, look for Ambrosia to peek and see, is this offensive team still here? And with that knife out, Burger Boys have information to execute.
This battle's a big one, and Ambrosia meet it head on. Alvin's still alive, though. He has been great with the Sheriff. This high tide's about to fade, but here is the long lurk around the back. Nanner's low.
Last player standing.
And now it's just down to one. Alvin's stuck in a corner, only finds a single kill. And what a absolute stalwart defense for Ambrosia. That was essentially a 3v5 from the front.
Yeah, Burger Boys just have to identify that window. And I imagine not a lot of people are scrimming against Harbor, but that window of when the walls are down and how you want to approach it when you're sealed in, how you want to react to this. And Burger Boys, I think they're just still getting their offense figured out of how aggressive they want to be. Since Ambrosia aren't really showing face, Burger Boys have to be the one that acts first now that they're on offense, and that took too long to generate, but we'll get to see Ambrosia's potential now with a lot of Guardians and an Outlaw even being bought up from Satellite over at A, and it's a 2-1-2 split. Would have been interesting harbor wall too, pretty deep into Burger's face.
Yeah, just to, again, put pressure on them clearing out green. You know, this toxic screen only gets you some clearance, so you have to be very cautious here if you're Burger Boys. The knife did reveal 2 on the A orb, though, so Retro will be feeling pretty decent about what they're looking at in front of them, knowing that it's going to be a Viper, a Harbor, and a Killjoy. Aldrin does tag a little bit late onto Bonnie, so now the script kind of flips just a touch with information for Ambrosia looking pretty decent, especially through mid.
Be important how Bonnie decides to address this, of how they want to dash into yellow box, go above, and sort of sail across the Viper wall like we've seen Jess do in the past. And Bonnie's going to go above, really get into Ambrosia's face. Now there's 3 stacked at this mid cut, so now that the wall is dropped, it's Ambrosia that have a bigger bark and a bigger bite. And Burger Boys couldn't react. And now the spike is down, so Alvin can't even ditch the situation if he would want to. So great win from Ambrosia.
Okay, and now we can start to see what Burger Boys are going to cook up for us on this offensive side. And the difficulty, I think, when it comes to like Harbor on this map does come on this side of the map, because you're using everything in essentially reactionary form unless you continue to throw this high tide early to green to see if you can force out Burger Boy utility early. But outside of that, you're usually playing the opposite side of the map from where your Viper is, and well, okay, it doesn't really make much of a difference if your Outlaw is going to connect like that. That's what they say. It doesn't really make a difference what walls you put up. It's really 5v4, and yeah, that again, that opening Riptide that you see, High Tide rather, is just going to create all of this confusion for Burger Boys that they have to know that they need to clear out green if they go back over towards B. So lots of obstacles in front of them.
These Jets just have to be aware that these Jets are just going to go above the Viper wall. So
Yeah,
you have to kind of have your eyes in the sky, and Satellites finding these openers could really give a leg up to Ambrosia. But now it's closing out these rounds that Ambrosia fans need to be on the edge of their seats for. Burger Boys, though, really slow down their approach. Now the wall is down. They're waiting for a peek from Ambrosia, and Bonnie gets the edge against Glyph. The harbor wall may allow Ambrosia to disengage to a safer position along with the members and screens. Burger Boys are really cut off from their objective, and all these smokes, all these walls have been so annoying to traverse. And Burger Boys just wait for their moment to execute, and it's Bonnie with 3. This makes things so easy for Prac, though, you would think. And he does win it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things like that cascade just does not matter. Like, if you're Burger Boys, you aren't trying to scale deeper into site anyways. So it gives a level of confusion. Like, maybe Ambrosia has reset to go back up top, but you're already in the same positions you would be to respond to that play because you hadn't ever really peeked behind the solo box in the back right corner of A. So it's just, it's another one of those moments that you kind of, the prophecy was foretold by you there, Lennon Kiwi. You talk about, like, if you're Ambrosia, like, you've thrown away rounds that look like this. You're in a 3v4 situation, very comfortable, and Bonnie just said, bet, looks good. I'll just get headshots and turn this whole thing around.
Bonnie says I'd win, for sure. And with the KO knife, too, you would think that you get so much information, you're able to suppress the enemy team, and Burger Boys, I think, with more wins under their belt, will start to be able to play off of those knives and do a lot more. Now we look towards Glyph, who a yellow box, kind of one and done position, is hoping to get support from Satellite with the Outlaw, and as Burger Boys not necessarily the ones to dash in, but rather updraft, and as soon as Burger Boys slow walk, they get caught by an Ambrosia crossfire, traded out. Glyph has a smoke to play within to try and catch Burger Boys. Is Glyph gonna feel confident enough? He's just gonna get spammed through the smoke, so that window's gone.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised with that Burger Boys don't commit more to try to get that isolation after they'd found Satellite behind the site. But now they can play around with this last 40 seconds in a multitude of ways. They're just going to kill noise and see if maybe they can pull one of the defenders back after that initial execute, quote unquote, gets stalled. But
30 seconds.
Practo will jump on, try to get the plant off. Good evasion towards the snake bite, and then of course the shock dart behind it. But it's just like, as you start to talk about the brilliance for Ambrosia's setup and their utility, it gets counteracted by Bonnie just finding another shot through smoke. Shock dart coming through. Hold on a second. Clock's becoming an issue. Bonnie gonna take matters into their own hands, though. Off for 4, looking for the ace. Sean just has to stay alive for another 2.5 seconds. It's able to avoid. Oh, Shondex stays alive for long enough. Bonnie gets the insignificant ace as Ambrosia just fiddle with the clock long enough.
Jesus, Ambrosia just went on full. It's good recognition for them to know that they would just had to be on prevention duty. They didn't have to kill. They just had to outlive Burger Boys and not let them plant. And as soon as they heard that spike get planted, there wasn't any walls. There wasn't really anything to protect the spike here. So Ambrosia kept resetting Burger Boys time and time again until Bonnie realized, like, I gotta do something. I gotta call 911, and that's me. I'm the emergency. I need to go and do something. And Bonnie did their best to make that space, but way better clutch out of Ambrosia to still prevent that spike from going down. So Burger Boys now really getting punished on how much time it's taking for sites to get executed. So try their hand at A, but the spike is left behind.
Yeah, this is a mere fake. I think this is trying to get Nanners a little bit deeper here, knowing that there's really just a hero rifle for Bonnie, but Practo or looking one away from Hunter's Fury. Bonnie continues to say, call an ambulance, but not for me. First blood again comes through for Bonnie. Just that weapon not in a retrievable position. Glyph stepping up here though is dangerous, but does catch one and now can back away safely, keep the 4v4 alive.
Yeah, Burger Boy is really nervous, having to re-clear with pistols and one hero Vandal, but can always depend on Bonnie to lead that charge. Knowing when to do it is a whole different scenario, though, and you could have Nanos try to discover where Glyph is. They're so close to each other, and just a little bit of space for Nanos to play in. Now the spike will go down. 26 seconds. More time for Burger Boys because, well, Glyph hasn't shown face. He wants to wait for reinforcements. Wasn't able to prevent the plant. Ambrosia are alive and well.
Yeah, this timing for Nanners is everything, though. You find this kill, get a weapon, there's a chance. Oh, a little tough on that initial set of shots. Practo was maybe hoping for a chance to pull a late Hunter's Fury to save this round, but feels a little bit more unwinnable now. Weapon collected. Spam shots are decent, but Glyph, yeah, says, hey, how are you over here? No problem. Ambrosia get the defense, get the retake, and 10-7 double-digit now hit for Ambrosia.
Burger Boys are starting to really fall behind on this half. Just both offenses suffering from just being overcritical of themselves and not wanting to take any risks and wanting to play stack. No one's going for flanks or kind of all these different angles. And Burger Boys, I think, could really try and set up a trap for A and use this KO knife to better use, or at least to capitalize on Ambrosia being more still. Now Burger Boys are going to be facing Satellite with knives out.
Ooh.
Powerful.
Oh, the counter flash through the high tide. This is, again, the mind games that come through. Knives are out. Satellite just getting back to safety. But the damage has already been dealt in a major way. And that's, again, that's that conditioning that's been set up where Ambrosia have thrown that same high tide almost every single round. Burger Boys never really challenged it. Wait for it to fall, see if they can find a good contact. Doesn't work out. Now the Cascade reasserts that the defense is still here.
A Hunter's Fury 2 from Practo, so the issue is going to be actually getting a safe plant going. So it's going to be about fuel for Nanners, and I was able to keep that up. And Ambrosia, if I'm them, I'm spamming through all the smoke and I'm making Burger Boys panic. And Practo can just support that plant too with a Hunter's Fury. Actually, he's the one planning, but you may want to get into a safe spot to try and suppress Ambrosia on their approach.
They need to pick here first before you can call the Hunter's Fury, though. That's the big issue. And the Reckoning will come out. Will force this post plant to move around just a touch. Satellite trying to take advantage of that. Shut down by Nanners, but you need more than this. The Cove is still in play, and yeah, Glyph will step out. Leave it just down to Practo, who gets caught in no man's land. So Ambrosia, really solid defensively to this point. Going to get to 11. Cash is going to be a little bit stripped out for Burger Boys, and Ambrosia can see the finish line on this map number 2 now.
It's kind of weird how Burger Boys played with so much oomph on their first half, and now the sides are swapped, and this doesn't seem like as well of a practice side, or at least there's just a lot of eggs in the Bonnie basket, and there's only so much you can do. It's like 23 kills, and he's kind of doubling everybody else's performance here on his side. And that's okay to depend on a duelist, but you still need a well-rounded team to close out these rounds. Like, I would have liked to see that Hunter's Fury from Practo, just to suppress Ambrosia as best as possible, because now you're giving over rounds and you're giving yourselves less lives to come back on.
Yeah, there's a level of that. I think the other side is Sean has really been an issue for this Burger Boys offense. Continuing to just kind of get space to work off, but they can set what arena Shondex wants just based off of things like the high tide continue to come through. I think in particular, though, it's just the fact that he's won a lot of clutch 1v1s to stop lurks from happening. So, you know, Sean's definitely pulling off their job. It makes life that much easier for players like Satellite to feel comfortable in their own skin. And now you're, again, kind of down to a little bit of do or die in a way for Burger Boys. You're forced purchasing to try to avoid having to go 5 in a row. So this right here, this round is kind of the game.
Or maybe you're saving the Hunter's Fury for the lockdown. That'll be an interaction coming up. Ambrosia are making so much space, and then Satellite gets sniped for his efforts. So that'll have Ambrosia scrambling as Burger Boys can fully take advantage, especially off the pings. And Glyph is just on his own, didn't get the memo that the party's over. It's time to scram.
This could be huge for Burger Boys. And the cash is still largely fine for Ambrosia, but a couple of players will be hurting, especially now that Practo's been able to secure this operator. Adrian's just staying in around a little bit longer. And there's another one of those 1v1s. Perfect catch by our ops team. Just kind of continuing on that last narrative of Shondex has won a handful of these lurking 1v1s over and over again. Now, the issue is they don't know that Nanners has also hit a bit of a lurk. So if you're Retro and you're Practo, you're just trying to keep the defense interested, and Nanners should win this round right here.
Oh, Nanners is going to go up the ramp too, and Burger Boy's being patient for him to get into position. It's an easy backstab, and he'll even catch Akrian. And I thought he would have, just being able to pre-aim that, but Nanners overthought it. Good win from Akrian to still make this round winnable, or else it would have been cooked. And
yeah, and Retro
still
can play. Yeah, Retro can just play like a credit corner here and just play a 1-for-1. And good awareness for Burger Boys, knowing this flank could be a thing. Shondex doesn't quite see the barrel of the operator. Retro watching on the cross. Yeah, catches the head. And now you can just essentially back on up. No Cove available here for Adrian. Recon Bolt will reveal for a moment. Shock Dart still available, so you don't have to worry about using the Hunter's Fury here. Just continue to play off of this little double cross setup. First shot misses. Practo gonna push up, and well, that will be not well. Maybe? No, not gonna happen. With it getting to halfway, there was a chance, but I guess at least for Akrian, you do take everyone off the table, so repurchases will have to come through, and that will hold off the Burger Boys economy a little bit longer.
it's a win, but not a win that feels good for Burger Boys when, well, they're still able to buy, so that's good. Just having light shields, though, and a ton of ultimates, so that'll be their saving grace on how they're able to cycle these going forward. But just having that initial punish of just the 2 kills in the middle of the map, and for the map to still be that close is a little worrisome, but Burger Boys are starting to really pick up speed, and things are starting, you know, crossing their eyes or crossing their T's, dotting their I's. That's the one. And Burger Boys are now still just assessing, are Ambrosia going to be forward? If not, then see what's next.
I like to keep people on their toes, hit them with the crossing their I's and dotting their T's.
Yeah, I've got my eyes crossed for sure.
The shoes are your shoes on the other table, which is turned. One of those type of situations. But
yeah,
half purchase here for Ambrosia. And against that force buy for Burger Boys, yeah, it's a punishing one, but it's still continuing the game. And now you've got nearly every ultimate at the ready for the side of Burger Boys. So tools to work with, especially if Bonnie can connect once. There'll be knives available if needed. But taking their time here, and honestly, for Ambrosia, that's fine. In fact, it kind of, well, I was gonna say it kind of is beneficial towards you, but all this reveal does kind of allow the information to come through. Knives are now going to come through. No command with this. Expensive for Burger Boys. Wanted to get to round number 9, and they will be rewarded for it. But, you know, if you're just nitpicky, like, did we need it? Maybe not, but take flight. Regardless, looking good for a 4v2.
Clean little 2K too from Retro, just rounding out that right corner, and love to see more of that from Burger Boys. It's just got to be Bonnie, and somebody from Burger Boys needs to inspire them. Retro now with the 3rd. You just want this to be a clean sweep now, getting up to 9. I think Burger Boys have found the secret sauce, like the recipe to success. Just keep hitting that A site and see what's up with Ambrosia and as the barriers drop, and get around this Viper wall, and you should be good.
Yeah. Well, armor purchase is going to be a bit limited still for Ambrosia, but the lockdown, the reckoning, and the Viper's Pit, key. It's very rare that those 3 in combination don't just win you a round. But on the flip side, Hunter's Fury, lockdown, Viper's Pit for Burger Boys. So could see some fireworks here in this round. Spike will be left for the moment over towards the spawn. Recon dart early towards green. Knife to follow. Lots of space going to be cleared just off those 2 information gathering tools for Burger Boys. But really, that's fine if you're Ambrosia because you have an alarm bot to be your security system over towards B.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind if Satellite played further back with the op, just so you do get pushed by a knife or lockdown or body, you have an escape route. But there is support from Akrian and the Reckoning at the back.
Yeah.
So it'll be quite the chess match to get set up at A. And Burger Boys, I I think are killing a lot of time to make it look like they're elsewhere. And to see if, is Practo going to find contact, but this will be a same A hit.
Satellite out of there. Knife does not come through in time to stop the dash, but that's a mirror information tool on this execute. Into the site goes Bonnie. Ambrosia gonna go reckoning for lockdown immediately afterwards. Actually, the lockdown from the offense, and Bonnie continues to connect, this time with the Outlaw. Now it's just down to how do you work your way back in. Satellite moving quickly. Viper's Pit though in the way, and Ambrosia gonna get detained. And honestly, with the cash the way it is, I'm not gonna lie, this is bold to try to commit into a Viper's Pit 3v4 with no tools to clear it. Unless you use a lockdown, but I think you save here, and yeah, that's gonna be the call.
Especially when Welly got tagged by the said Outlaw there, just the one shot. And with everything invested, this is a great call to save, and Burger Boys, they can, again, just cycle those ultimates. They'll have Hunter's Fury coming up and Pit 2, or the Pit's gone, but the Hunter's Fury later. Burger Boys are generating a lot of momentum. This is now 3 rounds in a row. I think Ambrosia should be worried, and I don't know if they have a timeout or not, but to really figure out how they can stop A, because a forward approach, okay, I'm Coach Ambrosia here. We gotta figure out, okay, we're switching it up. We go from a forward approach, now back, and now we have ults. We play around lockdown, play around even an early pit. I wonder if Glyph would want to opt for that.
Yeah, and there's actually a conversation here about what do you purchase coming into this round, I think, if you're Ambrosia, because you've got light armors across the board. You're able to save a couple of rifles, though, and most importantly, the operator here for the defense. But this is not a guarantee in terms of being able to take this round in tow. I mean, you've got the lockdown, which is a tool for you on defense, but it can be countered by the Hunter's Fury. And there's been a level of, I think you're absolutely right, Jen, just talking about the fact that Ambrosia, who we're finding so much early value playing forward, especially at A, now that's starting to kind of be thrown away. So there's question marks about, like, what do you want to do? How do you want to contest? Because you have an operator out, you're trying to trust that can find you first blood, but everything over towards A has been very uncomfortable the last couple of rounds, largely thanks to Bonnie.
And I think Retro has that important role. Like, I've talked about the knives, but also his ability to pop flash past these walls and to create a lot of pressure, as he did kind of in that highlight clip, getting around. That was the round that he got like a 3K on. So are Burger Boys, though, tired of hitting A all the time? Are they worried that Ambrosia are going to start to download them? Burger Boys are on a win streak from just constantly hitting A and having a lurk at B. So, well,
Oh, no.
another first blood, Bonnie.
Yeah, and you see it, the operator has been picked up, and Bonnie, just the fact that you ping it to say it's there, and then you see no, it's not anymore. Oh, goodness. Outlaw beats operator. It's the Wild West, and it's Bonnie's world right now. Now it's down to Shondex off angle. Works for one, catches the shoulder of another. How about that for Shondex? Continuing to tee it up. 3 in a row for Sean. Make it 4. And that's not the way you draw it up, but you're happy to have it if you're Ambrosia.
Wait,
Unreal.
Shondex with the ace solo? Like, what the heck? Where was this all map? Like, Shondex, I think, was one of my MVPs last map, but hey, better late than never. And now 1 round away from Ambrosia, sending us into a deciding map 3. And this is Ambrosia's map pick. So, although it wasn't like the most flawless run we've ever seen out of Ambrosia, I think there's still a lot of room in that ceiling for them to get to. Shondex really pulled through when his team needed him the most.
I feel like that's been kind of a staple of a lot of these Ambrosia rounds. Shondex continues to, I think, just have a great overall series. You talk about the efficiency that they found in the 1v1 in the lurks. Obviously, 26 and 14 is not terrible, but it's just finding it when it matters is only part of the thing. It's just the fact that Shondex continues to be such a security blanket for Ambrosia's defense. But this time, Satellite gets caught again. Races on over towards B. Poison Cloud is down, and Practo's going to get the plant.
And you got to worry if you're Ambrosia, because Practo has a Hunter's Fury for that post plan, and see when he'll want to pull that trigger. Sometimes Burger Boys like to just frag it out. They're really depending on Bonnie being inserted into forward position. Kind of messes up the dash though, and he has some room to dance around. Wins that 1v1 against Glyph. 5 HP. There's the supporting Hunter's Fury. A 1 for 2. Ambrosia are behind and pretty much 6 feet under. Zachary's gonna think about saving this, and I don't think Alvin's gonna let him, but wasn't looking at the right place. Wasn't expecting Acrian to be halfway exited.
Yeah. Interesting call for the Hunter's Fury there, with the lockdown still available in the next round in a 5v3 that you had available to you. But Shondex was still alive, so I get it. Never feels like a round is over when Sean's in play, but now this lockdown becomes, I would say, difficult to deal with if you're Burger Boys. I would actually not be upset with them calling a timeout here just to make sure they know what exactly they want to do in terms of their protocols to deal with it, or maybe try to bait it out, or even what site they would want to consider here. But they're going to just run it forward. You've got Operator and Knives for Bonnie in the round, and that will be it with the Viper's Pit and Lockdown combination. The Viper's Pit will come out here early for Glyph. They've got a stinger, so they're definitely going to use it here.
Ambrosia can't afford the op, so they won't have that to contest Bonnie. That's usually a threat that Ambrosia have had, but often punished and forced to rebuy, as Bonnie will get to just sit tight, and Burger Boys just playing for contact, where Ambrosia, I don't think, are going to be wanting to play aggressive, because the last round they tried peeking, they got double killed by Bonnie, so I don't blame Ambrosia for chilling out.
This is one of those moments, though, again, with the Lockdown and Viper's Pit combination. Alvin's lurk could be massive, and they have not found much success, really in any form, playing through mid. There's the knife, there's the owl drone. Here comes the approach. Glyph can stay very safe from this, the backside of these halls. Snake bite down to try to delay any early plants. Kracto's gotten a little high ground position away from the Viper's Pit. No immediate challenge to this. The spam comes through, a little bit of damage, and Kracto's able to slide out of there. Bonnie misses the opening shot. Knives now, the next thing forward, trying to move forward to challenge this, but cannot connect. So the defense will find re-entry in the backside of the lockdown, and now it's just about fighting off the post plant. And whoa, Burger Boys, they're gonna continue to play forward on this, they have to. The shock dart lands, it's 3 for 1. Detainment comes through though, and Satellite can continue to tee off on this, but now it's just down to Satellite. Halfway to Fuse, and will be able to hold it. Ambrosia, with some cinematic nonsense, are able to pull off the sneak out defuse and take us to a third map.
And that